Well, hello there. Glad to see you. Glad to see you came back. It's been a while. The unicorn and I, we did well in getting our crops prepared. But, as all stories go, they all have an ending and we must get to it at some point. So, here we are. And where did we leave off? Oh, yes. That'll be interesting to see what became of Baldwin and his family. Sad. Do I need to remind you of what we left off? Hang on one second, though. Vincent! Vincent!
Yeah, boss? Hang on. Boy, getting these Patreon pages set up takes days. Yeah, boss? I'm here. What do you need?
Yes. Vincent, thank you. Could you do me a favor? Could you get me a tall mug of mead, please? Thank you. So, as a recap, I do believe it was sad. Where were we? Oh, yes. Yes, Baldwin tried to save his family by running into the barn, but instead, he got caught. And in the end, they all died. What a way to start a story. But I guess all stories have a beginning, don't they?
Smoke drifts up. Scent of wood and flesh float in the air. The sun is up. Has been for quite a while. Tana and Elrin have not moved, their eyes red from tears, their throats raw from sobbing, their view unwavering as the last of the embers glow brightly.
Over there.
Commotion draws Elrin's eye away from the burnt horror of the family barn. All that is left is the front wall, with its doors still standing, and a fragmented sidewall. There isn't a roof, its timbers fallen long ago, now charred.
I think they are
Elrin
elves.
and Tana stand up as three townsfolk from the hamlet Talon approach, each appearing to carry a makeshift weapon: a pitchfork, a shovel shaped as a V, and a pickaxe.
State ye business, elves.
How did this fire start?
I will check on Marcus and his family.
There is no need,
Why is that?
because they are dead. All are dead.
Immediately, two of the townsfolk raise the pitchfork and pickaxe, of which Tana draws out her two long daggers.
Please, I do not have the energy for this. Yes, we are elves. No, we did not start the fire, nor did we kill Marcus and his family. And know that if we were dangerous, you would have been dead long before you got within talking distance. So, lower your arms, take a deep breath, and introduce yourselves. As I am Elrin, and this is Tana.
I am Sarah. This is Stevan and his son Junior.
I am on the council, and word this morning spread of a smoke north of Talon, and as my home is closest, it fell to me to check on Marcus. As such, do you know who killed Marcus and his family?
Yes.
There is a moment of silence.
Are you deaf and dumb? My pa asked you a question.
Of which I answered.
Your yes doesn't tell us anything.
Your understanding of the common language is commendable.
Raising his pickaxe, Junior replies,
Are you making fun of me, elf?
Enough, Junior. Elf.
Elrin.
Elrin, if ye know who killed Marcus, would ye please tell us?
The dark elves.
Sarah gasps as she brings her hand to her mouth, while Junior turns pale. Visibly shaking, but trying hard to hide it, Stevan asks,
Are you sure? Did you actually see the dark elves?
With Tana nodding, Elrin replies,
Aye, that's what we did. We came here following tracks, and saw the Dark Ones drag Marcus's family along with Baldwin's.
Baldwin?
Baldwin's family.
What of Baldwin?
Tears begin to stream down Tana's face, and Elrin gulps down his emotions.
He'll run into the barn to try and save them, but there were too many. And he too was captured and burned alive.
Oh my God!
Junior begins to tear up when Stefan grabs his shoulder.
We need to notify the council, nay the whole town, and prepare for the worst. We will be back in short time to recover the bodies and give them a proper burial.
We understand. We will still be here as we wish to find Baldwin and his family.
Nodding solemnly, Stefan motions for them back towards the hamlet. No words are spoken, just stares at the dimming embers as they head back south to Talon. Time passes as Elrin and Tana just stare into the charred remains, neither moving, with only the back of each of their hands touching.
I suppose delaying will not help ourselves, yeah? Come, my dear Tana. Let us find our friend Baldwin and his family.
Nodding, Tana starts first, heading towards the burnt remains of the barn. Reaching what was once the back of the barn, the last place they saw Baldwin as he killed a dark elf before entering the building, they pause, but for a moment, and then begin the arduous task of removing fallen burnt timbers and hauling them to the side.
At this rate, it will be noontime before we make any progress, let alone find the bodies. Why is there barking?
Stopping, Tana looks all around, eventually pointing to the other side of the barn. And taking the lead, she and Elrin walk around to the remaining front, and there, right in front of the open doorway, is Jasper.
Jasper? What are you doing here?
Staring into the barn, the dog barks. Tana goes to one knee beside Jasper, lightly petting his head as to not scare him away.
The poor dog. It is crying for his lost family. That is sad.
Both look at the dog, then into the barn. Barking again, Jasper begins to wag his tail. Shaking his head, Elrin starts to walk away when Tana grabs his arm and then points. Turning and looking to where she is pointing, he sees nothing except charred wood.
What am I supposed to be seeing?
Releasing his arm, Tana stands up, still pointing, and begins to walk into the barn. Walking behind her, Elrin says,
Tana, what is it?
Tana bends down and lifts a burnt board, and laying underneath is a hand, an outstretched hand unburnt.
What is this? How can this be?
In moments, the two of them are a flurry of limbs, grabbing and tossing broken and burnt timber, careless to where they land, all the while Jasper barking. It takes them minutes, and they are drenched in sweat, but after a section is cleared away, there, lying on his stomach, his clothes long burned away, his arm outstretched towards the door, is Baldwin. Both are stunned when a finger moves. Jasper begins barking, and of course after following them in, begins to lick Baldwin's face. Going to her knees, Tana gently pushes the dog away, and with Elrin's help, turns Baldwin over. His skin is flawless. There are no marks whatsoever on his body. Putting a hand to the side of his neck, Tana pauses, and then looks to Elrin and smiles.
How is this possible? Tana, can you wake him?
Tana closes her eyes while placing both hands to either side of Baldwin's head. Some time passes, and then eventually Tana opens her eyes and shakes her head.
Not good. Not bad either. Come, let us carry him out in our way, before the townsfolk come back. Knowing how untrusting they are, one can only assume the worst for Baldwin if they'd find him like this.
And so, with some effort, the two are able to lift and carry him out, heading back to the hiding spot the night before, all the while Jasper whimpering and circling them. Taking pause after lying him on the ground, the dog laying next to him, Elrin says,
He needs to be far from here, far from his kind, till we know what has befallen him.
Tana gestures. I will take him to our home.
Aye, and I will stay to bring his family home, for when he awakens he will ask, and then surely run to see them.
Nodding in agreement, Tana motions that she will get the horses, and then she is sprinting in the direction where they last left them. And with Tana gone, Elrin kneels beside Baldwin, and taking a hand into his, whispers,
Baldwin, I hope ye wake uncrushed. May ye find hope in living.
A short time later, Tanner approaches with the 3 horses, and, lifting Baldwin up, they lay him over the horse's saddle and tie him down.
Will you be okay caring for him the next few days?
Gesturing, she replies, I will. First we will stop at his house for clothes, and then we will make haste for the forest, where we will wait for you.
And hopefully he will be awake upon my return. Be safe, my love.
Leaning up to kiss him, she holds his face but for a breath, and then she is leaping onto her horse, with Baldwin in tow and Jasper chasing after.
He should be awake by now.
Elrin's voice pierces the darkness, jolting Baldwin upright. Looking around, he recognizes the room. It is Elrin and Tana's home.
What? What was I dreaming?
Taking a deep breath and looking around, he sees Tana sitting on a stool next to him by the bed. Elrin is standing beside her, and then looking to the wounds on his chest made by the Jurgomo at Jacob's farm, he finds none.
Have I been asleep that long? The wounds. There's no scar. I have dreams, but they seem so real. Baldwin, yes?
With Tana taking Baldwin's hand, Elrin asks,
What is the last thing you'll remember?
Baldwin looks to both of them.
I was at Jacob's farm. I went into his house. There was a creature. Baldwin, my friend, what do you remember long after that?
He stares at Elrin long and hard. Images flash by, scenes of a dream, but then he realizes it wasn't a dream, and tears pour out as his body begins to tremble.
It wasn't a dream.
Shaking his head, Elrin replies,
No, my friend.
For what seems like hours, Tana holds Baldwin as he spasms and cries. And when it seems like there is no more in him, another bout hits, with Elrin trying to comfort. When the last of the shaking has subsided, his eyes too dry to shed any more tears, Baldwin looks up. It is evening now, and candles are lit in the room. Tana is cradling him, with Elrin whispering low to Yagba.
Yes, there are questions as well as where do we start?
Baldwin looks to Yagba with a question in his eyes.
She is here in hopes of answering one question. Why do I live?
All are looking at him, and as one, they nod in unison.
The last we saw of you was when you killed the dark elf that came around the corner, and then you going into the barn with its head.
Baldwin takes a few breaths before talking, as he relives the moments in his head. And for the next hour in between crying, Baldwin tells a tale of a man who knew he was going to die, avenging the death of his family. Then, after wiping his face at the end, he looks to each of them, sadness in his eyes, but also a pleading and trying to make sense of it all.
So, are you sure of the woman elf you saw?
Baldwin nods.
Yes, we can attest to her actually being on this plane. The power of her essence, not to mention the evil that was quite ancient. It was very palpable.
Yagba stands, stretching her back, then walks to Baldwin, who is sitting up in bed. Motioning Tana away, she sits down on the bed looking at him. Then, reaching for a small dagger on a belt, she pulls it out fast, slashing across Baldwin's chest.
You little boy.
And then, all watch in amazement as the bleeding stops and the wound closes up, leaving not a blemish on his skin.
What the? But the elven gods!
You are right in a way, though you, Baldwin, will see this as a curse.
What do you mean?
You cannot die.
What?
You were kissed by a god. You are now an immortal.
Well, I'm as surprised as you were. When this story was first told to me, I didn't believe it. But as we progress, things will start to become much more clear, especially Baldwin's purpose. Some things aren't as obvious in the beginning, but then you tend to find things... Well, I won't give anything away. Come back and we'll continue the story. Until then, you be safe.